Welcome to story number 5. From Baseball, Boobs, and the Babe. Your toilet seat is out of code. During the 3 decades Debbie and I owned Knicks sports cards in Dallas, we met Hall of Fame athletes, professional gamblers, future millionaires, politicians, collectors, dreamers, and more characters than a county fair talent show. Most days, the surprises came from customers. Every now and then, they came from the government. Now, I've always believed there are 2 kinds of inspections. The kind that makes sense, and the kind that leave you sitting in your truck afterward, wondering if you accidentally wandered onto a hidden camera television show. This story falls squarely into the second category. Because one ordinary afternoon, a City of Dallas inspector walked into our little sports card shop, looked me dead in the eye, and informed me that he needed to inspect our toilet seat. I wish I were making that up. So pull up a chair, preferably one that's up to code. And let me tell you about the day a city inspector threatened to give Knicks sports cards a citation over a toilet seat. Back when Debbie and I were running our little sports card shop in Dallas, life was never boring. Owning a mom-and-pop business came with a lot of responsibilities. Marketing, accounting, inventory control, purchasing, and long hours. And apparently maintaining a government-approved toilet seat. We didn't have the luxury of a big corporate office with compliance departments, legal teams, and safety managers. It was just Debbie and me. If something broke, I fixed it. If something leaked, I fixed it. If something needed attention, one of us handled it. As it turns out, one thing that needed attention was our toilet seat. Now and then, the city of Dallas would send inspectors around. These visits were never scheduled. Nobody called ahead. Nobody sent an email. One minute you're selling baseball cards. The next minute, a city employee is standing in your doorway looking like he's about to investigate a crime scene. They'd check electrical panels. They'd inspect fire extinguishers. They'd look at plumbing. And on one unforgettable day, they came to inspect a toilet seat. You heard me right. A toilet seat. Not the plumbing. Not the toilet. Not the building, the seat. A city inspector walked through the front door and announced that he needed to inspect our restroom. At first, I thought he was joking. He wasn't. This particular inspector was actually a nice guy, friendly, polite. But when it came to restroom regulations, he was more serious than a heart attack. A few minutes later, he emerged from the restroom with the expression of a man who had just uncovered organized crime. He looked at me and said, "Your toilet seat is round." I left. He didn't. Thinking maybe I misunderstood him, I asked him to repeat it. He straightened up like General Patton addressing the troops and declared, "Your toilet seat is round, and you are out of code." For a moment, I just stared at him. Finally, I said, "I'm sorry. What exactly is wrong with a round toilet seat?" The Inspector General of Porcelain Affairs responded, "All public restrooms must have a toilet seat with a cutout in the front." Now, I didn't know there was a toilet seat code. I didn't know there were toilet seat regulations. Frankly, I didn't know there was a toilet seat division of city government. I was learning all kinds of things that day. So I said, "We don't have a public restroom." He nodded. Clearly, he'd heard that argument before. "You need a sign stating that you do not have a public restroom." I thought that sounded easy enough. "Great," I said. "Can I just print one?" "No." "Okay. And your toilet seat is still round." At that point, I decided continuing the conversation might reveal just how little I knew about government-approved bathroom furniture. The truth was we never had a restroom policy. We just handled situations as they came along. Most of the time, we'd send people next door to Cindy's Deli. Now, Cindy's was one of the most interesting restaurants in Dallas. It was a New York-style Jewish deli, owned by Vietnamese, cooked by Mexicans, and had a French chef. That place was basically the United Nations with sandwiches. One afternoon, a large man in a wheelchair came into the store and asked to use our restroom. I explained that we didn't have a public restroom and suggested Cindy's. He immediately replied, "No, I'm not doing that." Then he wheeled himself toward the door. I watched him heading down the sidewalk and started feeling guilty. So I chased him down and told him he could use ours. That decision turned out to be one of the worst management decisions of my entire career. The man disappeared into our restroom. He stayed 10 minutes, then 20, then 30. At that point, I was seriously considering calling the fire department. Not because there was smoke, because I thought somebody might be trapped. Eventually, he emerged. Let's just say he didn't merely visit our restroom. He established residency. The cleanup operation afterward required courage, determination, and possibly hazmat certification. To this day, I think Debbie and I both deserve Purple Hearts. and possibly counseling. The other challenge with our restroom was its location. To reach it, you had to walk through my office. Now anybody who knows me knows I love Oklahoma football. Love it. My office looked like the University of Oklahoma gift shop had exploded. OU memorabilia covered every available inch of wall space. And while that's perfectly acceptable in Oklahoma, it can create tension in Dallas. Most of our customers were great sports about it. Many of the OU items had been gifts from Texas fans. The banter was always friendly. One customer once asked, "Nick, do you know why Texas will never fall into the ocean?" "No. Because Oklahoma sucks." Then he'd flash the Hook 'em horn sign. I'd smile and say, "Isn't that the number of Texas wins over Oklahoma the last 10 years?" Looking back, I sometimes wonder if the inspector was a Texas fan. Because he was absolutely determined to make my life miserable over that toilet seat. Finally, he said, "I'll have to issue a citation unless you have a compliant seat in stock." I looked at him. He looked at me. Then I said, "Sure. Let me check our toilet seat inventory. We keep those right between the baseball cards and football boxes." He didn't laugh. Not even a little. At this point, I had a problem. I couldn't leave the store. The inspector wasn't leaving. And apparently, our future depended on replacing a piece of bathroom equipment. That's when one of our regular customers, George, walked in. George heard the conversation and immediately said, "I'll run to Home Depot." Now Home Depot was less than a mile away. And to my amazement, the inspector agreed to wait. Not come back tomorrow. Not mail me proof, wait. Right there. Like the fate of Dallas depended on this toilet seat. George returned carrying a brand new split front seat under one arm. He even installed it himself. A few minutes later, he walked out of the restroom grinning from ear to ear. "You are officially legal," he announced. While George and I were celebrating our victory over illegal bathroom furniture, the inspector was standing at a display box of baseball cards. And that's when I noticed something. He wasn't killing time. He wasn't browsing. He was studying those cards like a graduate student preparing a doctoral dissertation. He was completely locked in. Eventually, he walked to the register carrying a stack of cards. He handed me exact cash. Then he handed me paperwork clearing our restroom violation. The funny part, he never went back to verify that George had installed the seat. Never looked. Never checked. Never inspected. Apparently, the city trusted George. Or maybe the entire mission had been a clever excuse to spend an afternoon shopping for baseball cards. To this day, I still don't know. What I do know is this. We survived. The city survived. George became a certified emergency toilet seat technician. And Toilet Seat Gate finally came to an end. If you enjoyed this story, I'd appreciate it if you'd like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with somebody who enjoys a good laugh. We've got a whole lot more stories coming. Some are funny. Some are unbelievable. Some involve famous athletes. And some involve family. Our next story is one of the most personal stories I'll ever tell. It's called My Father Never Saw the Store. It's a story about family, sacrifice, timing, and a dream that came true just a little too late. I'm Nick Redwine. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. And I'll see you next time for story number 6 from Baseball, Boobs, and the Babe. My father never saw the store.